So, Michael, I think tonight we're going to talk about turning that frown upside down because, as I was telling you in the pre-show, my last couple of days have kind of sucked monkey bottom, and I'm over it now. So, I think we're going to talk about how people throughout history have overcome bad moments to do tremendous things.
The power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
And junk and stuff. Yeah.
Don't ever underestimate the junk and the stuff.
Right.
Yes. So what do you think we're going to do tonight?
I'm right there with you, Dan. I think this is just going to be a regular motivational type program. We're going to do things and rally the people and all that. Yeah.
Beth, throw out your content and come up with something happy, because I guess we're going there tonight.
No, I just
no is the answer I heard.
You still have the date from the last show. It says today is July 15th, and it's not.
All right, well, I'll fix that here as the intro runs, because you know what? We're in the blind, so whatever. It's In the Blind with Mike and Dan, now with a fixed date for those of you on YouTube. If you refresh or just give it a moment, it should say July 20. So, yay. Thanks for pointing that out, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
All right. So, yeah, here's how this works. We've got no idea what we're going to talk about. That's the fun of it. We have 2 topics, 20 minutes each, that we will have to debate and discuss them. And then after that, we'll have our all too famous true-false round, where Beth will toy with our minds and probably break them just a little bit, because that's what normally happens. So yeah, if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome all the same. Few of you out there, so that's nice to see.
Yes. Shall
we do this thing?
Yeah.
This dance that they call In the Blind?
Yeah.
All right. Give us topic 1, my love.
Are you ready? Am I close enough? I feel like I'm not.
Okay. I can hear you a little better there.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Ideas for the show come from all sorts of places. Sometimes it's something happening in the news. Sometimes it's an article that sends me down a rabbit hole. Sometimes it's a conversation that won't leave my brain. This week's show started because I've been watching World's Toughest Prisons on Netflix. Not because I wanted to become an expert on prisons, but because I kept noticing something interesting. Every country seems to answer the same problem differently. Different buildings, different rules, different priorities. Some focus heavily on punishment, others focus on rehabilitation. Some seem designed almost entirely around security, others look surprisingly normal. And somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't really thinking about prisons anymore. I was thinking about why they exist in the first place. So imagine this. Imagine every prison on earth disappeared overnight. Every jail, every penitentiary, every detention center. Tomorrow morning, society still exists. Crime still exists. People still make bad decisions, but the prisons are gone. Before you build the very first replacement, you have to answer one question. What problem is prison supposed to solve? Is it punishment, protecting society, deterring future crime, giving victims justice, helping people change? Or is it trying to accomplish several different goals at the same time?
Okay. Well, that's very adjacent to what we do over at TCF, so thank you for that. And I've been watching with you. And I agree, it's different everywhere how it's handled. Some of it is almost inspirational in a way. And then some of it is like, it makes you want to cry. It's so bad. So it's all over the board. But you said, what problem does prison solve? Do you want that answer based upon now or back in the day, or doesn't it matter?
Oh, you can talk about both.
Because my personal take on it, and Michael, you tell me if you disagree, but my personal take on it is just right out of the gate, prison was meant initially, I think, as punishment / protection. And now I think it's meant to support an industry more than anything. That's kind of my current take on it.
That's pretty much, I mean, especially here in the United States, that is really what it is. There's certainly the element of, we're protecting society, air quotes. We're punishing people, and that we are doing, but there's definitely an aspect of it that, there's also a for-profit motive in some cases, the private prisons and all that. So there's a number of motivations behind it. And again, especially here in the U.S., because other countries, we've sort of talked about this even on other shows on Sidebar and over on TCF, that in Norway and a lot of these European countries, the primary focus of prison is rehabilitation. And that's why very rarely do people get life sentences there. A lot of these countries, the top sentence is usually around 14 years, 15 years. And the real focus is not even on this maximum security. We're going to keep you in the hole 23 hours a day sort of. No, it's trying to reform and change a behavior and rewire people. So that's a fundamental difference between here and some of these European countries.
No, it totally is. I think here, like so many things that we build, I think it's built to the point where I don't know how you would wind it back. Again, I think the initial thing that prisons were meant to solve was security and punishment. So if you've got a murder, and I think a lot of it was also based upon the fact, as we get more modern, that more and more people have pushed back on the idea of capital punishment. So if you have a murderer, for example, you can't kill him anymore, can't get rid of him. So what do? You got to lock him up somewhere. So, that's safety, it's punishment, it's those things. But now it's evolved into such an industry that I don't know how you would ever roll it back. And I think at least part of the problem that it solves is the problem of itself, for lack of a better way to put it. Like it feeds upon itself. It needs to exist. It needs to make money. It's like government. It keeps growing and keeps getting bigger, and you have these lawyers who keep making laws because then, if they have more laws, then they can practice more and make more money and all this kind of thing. It's like a snowball rolling downhill.
Yes.
Is kind of how I view it. And I don't think that serves us, but I also don't know how to solve it, because I think the initial idea of why you had jails and prisons made sense. Bad guy, got to lock him up and deal with him. And, because if you don't have that, if all the prisons went away, as Beth suggested, if they all went away today, it would be anarchy, I think. If all of those, we'd be fine here in Arizona, because as you know, we're required by law to be armed at all times. So
yes.
We would survive. But can you imagine in like a New York or a Chicago or an LA?
LA, yeah.
It would be just absolute anarchy. So, you can't just get rid of them.
Didn't we have some of that during the COVID area that we're not really supposed to talk about?
Some of what?
Well, they released a bunch of people because in some of those cities because they thought it was inhumane.
Yeah. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, they would like release them early so they didn't have so many in the jails, but then they would just go and commit more crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a thing for sure. So I mean, you gotta have it, but I mean, all of these places are overcrowded. We've privatized so many of them so that it's a for-profit industry now.
Right.
As Wahoo just said in the chat, when did we go beyond the punishment fitting the crime? That's definitely a problem too. You know, when you're given, you know, I joke about this one, but it's true. You know, when OJ was given 57 consecutive life sentences for stealing his own shirts, but he got off for murder. So, you know, the
Yeah.
punishment end of things
Yes.
doesn't make any sense. You know, it's a broken system, unfortunately, that I think had good roots. But then, you know, like Beth suggests again, if we did away with it, society would, at least in certain areas, completely collapse. And you need only look at these prison documentaries to realize that these, so many of these people, I mean, they're not getting reformed in these places. It's crime college is what it is. So when they get out, they're just going to commit more. Was it a dude it was in Bosnia that we watched, right, Beth, where the guy was like, he admitted he was playing along with the game so he could get out early. He was doing all of his classes, doing everything right.
And he said he wanted to go to Europe.
Yeah, and then he was going to go to Europe because it would be easier for him to commit more crime because they had more money over there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly what he said.
Which is insane, but that's what would happen here.
Right.
At least in certain places for sure. I mean, again, go back to LA. They let out all of the gangs that are in the prisons to join the gangs up on the streets. It's going to be a war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well,
so
yeah, I mean, this is one of those.
It's a weird topic.
It's a topic with a lot of layers. But okay, the first thing I think of is, and again, you know, this. Yeah, it's funny how this ties in because this morning we were watching Judge Boyd. Okay. And she said, you know, I might get in trouble for this, but, you know, the jails aren't safe. Our jails, you know, the county jail is not safe. It's not a place to put somebody that has mental health issues. People get hurt. People get killed in our jails. I mean, she just said it. You know, she said the quiet part loud this morning. And I have to applaud Judge Boyd because somebody that has some mental health issues was basically being held in jail after they had their evaluation and they were supposed to be moved to a place, you know, for treatment, and they weren't. They were basically lost in the system and held behind bars, and their due process was violated, and Judge Boyd called it out and then called out, you know, how bad the jails are. And again, you know, for someone that's so controversial and that people don't like, this is a person that, you know, I have to say, told it like it is before. Yes. Has she sent people to jail? Has she sent people to prison? Yes. And the people that she generally sends to prison are people that deserve it almost overwhelmingly, with a couple of exceptions, but in general, yes. But there's definitely a lot of problems there. And for someone who's a judge in this country, in a, you know, I would say a decent population area, San Antonio, Bexar County, to call that out is, I think, huge. And so, you know, how do we fix it? I mean, this is a topic again with multiple, the spider web of directions, but you know, I don't know what the master solution to this is, but I do believe that our prison system, you know, the way that it is constructed, yeah, it's terrible. And I know people are going to be like, well, prison's supposed to be terrible and it's supposed to be bad and it's supposed to scare people to not want to go there. It's supposed to be a deterrent. But I don't think it's not working like that.
No, I used to think that too, to be honest. And then I started doing a courtroom channel
Yeah.
and seeing how all these people come through, and it just breaks. And it's weird because I think two things are true at once. We need the prisons. They can't just go away overnight, but they also don't help anybody.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate, but I used, like I say, I used to just think the same thing. These people deserve to be punished. One of the themes, Beth, that we've heard through multiple, and again, if you're not familiar with where she's coming from, this is a show on Netflix, World's Toughest Prisons. And this guy, after season one, in season one, it was a reporter, but then they got this guy, Raphael Rowe, who was actually in prison in the UK, convicted of murder, sentenced to life without parole. And then 12 years later, they found out he was actually innocent.
Oops.
And then he started spending his life going around the world investigating these other prisons. But one of the themes, I lost my train of thought. Vamp for a minute, Michael.
Well, no, this is one of those things, I've watched shows similar to this where they look at prisons all around the world in different countries, and it is strange how a lot of them are they kind of fall into these categories. They're either like just these hellholes where they basically put you in there, forget about you until your time is up, if your time ever does come up, and you're just forgotten about. And then when you're let out, it's like, well, hope you don't do it again. Then there's the kind of prison that's like, well, it's really not so much a prison, but it is just a place for education and rehabilitation. Again, a lot of these Northern European countries in particular, I think like Norway and Finland and all that. And then there's kind of the U.S., which is sort of this, it's disguised as kind of the latter, but it's really more of the former. It's like we do have education for some, in some cases, and there's an ability to get rehabilitation and help in some places, but not all states run their prisons the same way. And there's a lot of people that are going to reoffend because they don't get rehabilitated properly. And the U.S. is just designed to sort of, I'm not saying that there aren't people that are in there that deserve to be in there, because there absolutely are. There's some really bad people that should be in prison and should stay in prison. But there's also a lot of people that probably should never have been in there in the first place, or should have been in there in a very limited capacity. And that's kind of the problem too. I think of a lot of these drug offenders, right? Or even worse, I think of people that have mental health issues, and I don't think the prison does them any favors.
No.
That's sort of, we decided to close down all the mental health facilities. We started that in the 70s, and we really accelerated that under the Reagan administration, and we kept going with just shutting them down. And there's a lot of people that then, were committing crimes, and really these are people that should have been given proper mental health treatment, and we have gone so far away from that in this country because it's expensive. But I think it's far more expensive to keep building prisons and just keep sweeping our problems under the rug and hoping that it gets better.
Thank you, Michael. My point just came back to my head. Thank you for spotting me. No, what I was going to say was that one of the themes that we see throughout is how these people that are in prison, and I think rightfully so, they say that prison itself is the punishment. I have lost my freedom. I can't leave. I have this structured environment. There's only so far I can go, only so many things I can do. That is the punishment. So why do you think that it is helpful to just lob on more and more and more stuff and make me feel less and less human? Because eventually I'm going to be released. And that's the case in most of these other countries that we've watched. I've only remember a handful that have actually been in on a life sentence.
Yeah.
Even for murder, most of them are getting out in under 20.
Yep.
So where's the point in breaking them even further? You're depriving them of their liberty.
Yeah.
So you'd be better off using that time trying to get them to understand how the real world works, or at least how it should work, than to just drive them further and further down. Because once you release them, you're going to release a monster. And that would be the problem if the prisons went away today. We would be releasing a bunch of monsters because we don't fix anybody there.
That's right.
And Boyd was right, Judge Boyd, calling them out. And by the way, thanks for the preview for tomorrow night's sidebar, by the way, because that's what we're going to be discussing.
Yep.
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific over on TCF tomorrow. But I heard that too, and I was like, wow, she actually said the quiet part out loud.
And she said it a little bit before. I mean, she's talked about how, we tell that funny story about how she goes, people will say, oh, there's a spider in here. There's, or there's a, and nobody cares. Or, someone gets stabbed in the prison. Nobody cares. And, she just, I'm telling you, San Antonio and the justice system is going to miss somebody. And again, we can say what we want about Judge Boyd, but I mean, that's somebody that I think is a net positive in the system that we are going to lose. And I don't care who her replacement is. The other Judge Stephanie is just not going to, I could very well be proven wrong on this, but I don't think has the same sort of moxie and the same sort of just way of telling it like it is that Judge Boyd does.
Well, we won't know unless we walk into the courtroom because she's not going to stream it.
Right. And that's the other thing is, and again, and this is adjacent to the topic, but I mean, I think part of the problem with our prison system here is a lack of transparency.
Yeah.
And I think that starts in the justice system. And, the fact that we have some courts that do stream and that are available to the public to watch, I think is a good thing because that's how our court system is supposed to be. It's supposed to be open to the public, and we live in a modern age where we can stream courtrooms. Why not every single courtroom in the United States isn't streamed? I don't understand. Okay, yeah, I get certain people, their faces may not be shown because maybe they're minors or whatever, but I mean, just in general, just speaking in a broad sense, okay? Don't come back and go, well, actually, no. We're speaking in broad terms. I think they should all be streamed, and we should have that public access to it because that's part of the transparency. And then what happens in the prison system, because our tax dollars pay for the goddamn thing, why don't we get to know more about what's going on in there and have more of a say over how prisoners are treated? And I know there are people that are going to disagree with me on this, but I think that in general, there are some people that deserve to be in there and should never be let out. Thinking about people that do child stuff in particular, but beyond those people, beyond the serial killers and the child stuff people, I think we need to focus more on that rehabilitation. We need to focus more on turning them into better people, because if we do that, I mean, having redemption arcs for people and turning things around and making people more a productive member of society is a net positive for everybody.
Yeah, because redemption arcs matter and we all need them.
Yeah.
Some are long-term redemption arcs, some are just within a day, but I mean, you have to have that. And we're not transparent about it, nor are we necessarily doing a whole lot to make that happen. And that's problematic. So what problem does prison solve? Probably the better question is what problems does it create? But that's probably where we're going next if I had to make a guess.
Yes.
Well, kind of. You guys already hinted at it. You've gotten pretty used to how I structure these things. We spent the first half asking what prisons are supposed to do, but prisons don't hold ideas. They hold people. And that raises another question. Can prisons really change someone? Or does real change have to come from within? So, are you ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on 1 second while I do my behind the scenes stuff.
And you said you were excited for this show, and I understand why now. This is good topics.
Well, it's very much in the wheelhouse of kind of especially
we
what
do.
Dan does every day, and then what we talk about over there on Sidebar. And this is like a cartoon crossover episode.
Yeah.
You know what we should do,
This is
Michael, to pull you a little closer into this family is we should have you start doing a prison weather discussion. Just like once or twice a week, just give us an update.
Yeah. There's
Slightly muggy, a chance of stabbing.
Yes. Well, I'm sure.
Partly bloody, breezy, and cool.
Yes. Well, I'm sure I got a couple of haters that probably write their messages from prison. So I'm guessing.
Nice. You're getting kites. Very cool.
Okay. If prisons exist to do more than simply separate people from society, then another question naturally follows. Can prison really change the people inside it? Around the world, prisons take different approaches. Some emphasize discipline, others focus on education. Some teach job skills, some offer counseling, addiction treatment, or mental health services. Others provide very few opportunities beyond simply serving time. Yet, even within the very same prison, people often leave on completely different paths. One person may walk out angry, resentful, and more likely to offend again. Another may leave determined to rebuild their life. Same prison, different outcome. Which raises an interesting question. Does prison change people, or does prison simply reveal who is willing to change in the first place?
Short answer, I think prison changes everybody who goes there.
Yes.
The bigger question is how. And I think that is a lot dependent on, first off, I think it's dependent on the prison and the culture that you come from. Again, to go back to the world's toughest prisons that we've watched, one of the best episodes was when he went to Norway and went through that system. And the first thing that happens when you walk in the door of that system is the guard shakes your hand. Like, hello, welcome, which is disarming in a totally different way. And yes, there's still a strip search and they're making sure you're not bringing stuff in. But, and then the guards, they sit there with you and play games and talk. They have counseling sessions where everybody gets together and they discuss what's going on in their lives. And that happens like daily. There are factories in their prisons, not like making license plates, but things that teach people, like the one that we saw, they had an auto shop where people were learning to be mechanics. And they had a woodworking shop where people were learning to be carpenters. And they had a shop where you learned electronics and you learned to be an electrician and things like that. So people were leaving with a skill. So in those situations, I would say people were leaving better. Now, we've seen some other ones. Where's a good one? I don't think they were leaving better coming out of Greece.
The South Africa one.
Yeah, the South Africa one was scary.
Yeah.
They have the number gangs in South Africa. So it all depends on what number you have tattooed on you that determines whether you're going to live or die. So, they're not...
Unless you have money to buy safety.
Yep. And that's just it. Then in some of these other places, the prison staff has just flat said, we have no control over this. So inside the walls, it's the gangs that run it, and nobody's getting out of there better. Nobody's learning anything. I say, I deal in absolutes, maybe one or two, but for the vast majority, they're not going to come out of there better. So, it changes them for the worse.
He did interview one guy who was separating himself from the gang in South Africa, if you remember.
Yeah.
He just wasn't willing to share details of his story.
Yeah.
probably for safety reasons.
Yeah, and the razor's edge that guy has to walk to keep himself separate from the gangs is insane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, everybody leaves changed. It's just a matter of how. Here in the United States, if I had to put a number on it, I would say somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 leave worse. I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I mean, you just have to look at our repeat offender rate, which is
Recidivism.
yeah, it's and depending on the state, depending on age groups and stuff like that, but it's right around 2/3 to 3/4. It's somewhere around 66, 70, 71, 72%, somewhere in that range. Our repeat offender rate is very, very high. It's among the highest among all industrialized nations. And again, this is a stat I always throw out there too, and that is that of the entire world's prison population, the United States has 1/4 of it. Because this goes to partly we have too many laws, partly we have a for-profit driven prison system. Part of it is that's our kind of our jam here is just to anytime somebody does something wrong, let's throw them in jail or throw them in prison. That's kind of like what we do. But does it solve anything? I mean, by and large, no. And the repeat offender rate pretty much tells you. And again, we can sit here and blame the person. And I know what this sounds like to some people. Here goes Mike again. This is just liberal cuck nonsense. But it's the facts are the facts. Okay, the numbers are the numbers, and it's not just that these people are bad people. Yeah, some people do bad things, but I think that there are people that could very well turn everything around if they had proper education, if they had proper rehabilitation, if they had proper care, and they could come out of prison better for it. And there are some places that certainly focus on that, but as Beth mentioned, there's just a lot that don't. And again, it's to the individual. Again, some people don't want to change; they don't want to make themselves better. But I think a lot of people do, and some people just don't know how. And it's simple to say, well, just don't steal shit, and you'll be fine. Yeah, okay, cool. But there's a lot of people that have been, they've lived their lives kind of on that razor's edge, and they've been behind the 8 ball because for whatever reason, parents died, or they were in the foster care system, or they were abused as children, or they had stuff done to them, and a lot of trauma, and they didn't know how to deal with it. And again, I'm not making excuses. People make their mistakes and they need to pay the consequences. But while they're paying those consequences, why can't we focus on turning them around? And the reason is because we just don't. We want to allocate the tax dollars to building the prison and sweeping the problem under the rug rather than fixing, being proactive. And that's so much. I mean, this is Dan, this is one of those problems that, speaks volumes to how we feel as a society in general. We could talk about this in terms of other areas too, but we focus more on reaction than proaction. We want to fix a problem rather than prevent the problem from happening in the first friggin' place. Yep. And that's where I just have the biggest problem with this. And people think that that's soft, but to me, the softness is let's just wait for a problem and then we'll overreact and try to overcompensate and pretend like we're doing something about it rather than, hey, let's spend a little bit more today to save money tomorrow. I don't know.
So based on what you just said, I have a follow-up question. Do you think someone can be helped if they don't want to change? And can someone who truly wants to change actually succeed even with very little help?
I think both are possible.
Yeah.
Personally.
Are they likely?
I don't know how to quantify that. I mean, but
do you think it just depends on the person?
yeah, I think in both cases it depends on the person. If it's somebody that doesn't want to change, but if they have the right person in front of them to get them to change, we've seen examples of that before where people have turned around when they've had the right mentor and the right system. Look in schools, you have a student who's not succeeding, and then all of a sudden they come across the right teacher that matches with them, and it just gels and it works, and they are suddenly on a roll. It happens. Yep. But then, if somebody's in a bad prison where there's not a lot of resources, but they really want to help themselves, they'll find a way to do it if they're really into it, whether it be ordering books or whatever the case may be to try to educate themselves. As much as we joke about the Jesus blanket over on TCF, but the parole board aside, finding God and finding some peace in that to right yourself that way. I mean, there's a lot of ways that somebody can fix themselves. And Mike, to go back to what you were saying earlier about, you being a liberal cuck or whatever, nobody will ever call me that.
Right.
And I totally agree. I've sat in this chair and behind this microphone for almost 2 years now, watching courts and watching the justice system, and it's broken, especially, I mean, not only in the courts, but once they go off for their punishment, they keep coming back because it's not fixing them.
Yeah.
And this is somebody who 2 years ago would have been like, yeah, lock them up. Why?
You
hinted
at this earlier, but I think the follow-up question there is, how important is hope, and how do we implement hope in trying to change someone's future? Because if somebody believes that their life is over, then they have no motivation, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's just the thing too. I
think that's an important part to tackle. Like, I mean, obviously we're just hypothesizing here. We're not solving anything, like you guys often say on Sidebar. But I think one of the things that needs to be addressed is, how do you implement hope? Because without it, there really is nothing for anyone to cling to.
Life sentences don't give hope.
No.
And again, there are people that definitely deserve a life sentence. Okay. The guy that ran over all those people at the holiday celebration in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. There are cases where people deserve a life sentence. And again, I say, and I know this is where now someone will go, conservative blowhard. Like these people that do the child stuff. I mean, I know it's codified in the law, 5 years, 10 years. No, I say put them in prison for life, because statistically speaking, and based on every bit of research that's out there from psychologists, those kinds of people almost are impossible to rehabilitate.
I say we put them all on Epstein Island because it's just sitting there anyways.
We'll just let them go at each other. But the
problem with that is it would be overcrowded, like that jail in Manila.
Yeah. Oh
where
my
they're
God.
sleeping on top of each other because there's so many of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they were snuggling each other.
Yeah, because they had to.
Yeah.
Ever so gently though, so good on them.
Yes. I think that that's one of those crazy things, man. I don't know. But I think a life sentence doesn't provide hope.
No.
And the fewer of those that we hand out, the better. And again, some people deserve them, but I think that 30-year prison sentences for things like heroin. I'm sorry, Judge Elmore. I'm just going to have to go ahead and disagree with you on that. I just don't think that provides hope. I mean, if the goal is to make people better and to rehabilitate and try to make a better society and to try and turn people around, then we can't just be handing out these massive prison sentences, especially for things where someone doesn't get killed, where someone's doing harm to their own body. Why throw people in jail for that or prison for that when there are clear alternatives to that? Someone that has an addiction issue, the answer isn't, hey, I'm going to put you behind four walls where you can't get access to alcohol or booze, allegedly. But that doesn't solve the problem. Again, it like puts the problem on pause, but eventually that person's going to get out and it's going to resume and it's going to be twice as bad because you didn't give them the skills to fix it. And it's going to have a ripple effect through society. Like, I don't get why people don't understand this stuff. And I'm not even the brightest bulb in the batch, and I get it. So I don't understand why people far smarter than me can't solve this problem.
Because they're not smarter than you, Michael.
So question, just because you used drugs as an example, and I'm not saying I disagree with you, but you said, in that case, they were doing harm to themselves. They didn't kill anyone. But what about like Elizabeth Holmes kind of cases where they weren't actually physically harming anyone? They were just fleecing them.
So
is that like a miswiring mentally? Should that person stay inside for longer because if they get out, they might try to do it again? Or is it just a whole different kind of rehabilitation?
She does need mental adjustment that she's not getting in the federal system.
Right. And here's the thing about Elizabeth Holmes. I mean, and this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but I mean, she's a smart lady.
Yeah. Oh, obviously.
I mean, and manipulative and all that, but I mean, she's smart. And I think if somehow you could get her some help and we could channel that energy that she has, for good instead of evil, I mean, that's somebody that could probably do a lot of good things. And now, again, it's not I'm not undermining what she did. She bilked a whole lot of people out of a lot of money, billions, literally billions of dollars, running a grift. And she's a terrible person for it. I agree that she definitely deserves punishment, but there could be an opportunity for redemption there.
I often wonder. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean.
I was just gonna say there you could, as Dan kind of alluded, she's not going to get the help she needs in there. But if and maybe she can't be helped. I don't know that, but nobody's going to know that unless we at least make the effort. And I don't know if any effort is really going to be made. I think it's just one of those. Well, we'll just put her away for 12 to 20. And when she gets out, she'll probably have learned her lesson. Except now she's not, supposedly isn't going to have any money. Although my thought is that I think she squirreled some away in some offshore account someplace, and she'll probably walk out a multimillionaire still. And maybe she'll try to do something else in the future, because what else is there to lose? She's already lost 20 years of her life. What's the point? I don't know. I have no idea. Or maybe she won't. I don't know, but you could at least make the effort. And if you try and we fail, the worst you can say is, well, Mike, we tried and it screwed up, so you're wrong. Yeah, except if we did that for everybody, we're going to have some success stories, and some success is a lot better than zero success. And when you don't do anything, I guarantee you your success rate's going to be zero. So yeah.
Along the lines of what you were saying she's obviously very intelligent. I've often wondered with some of those like more white collar crime kind of things, when they're so detailed and the fleece is so vast, that it's interesting that our government hasn't tried to almost recruit them as a way to redeem them. And I mean that, like, think of it in correlation to hackers.
I was just
Like,
gonna say, yep.
yeah. So their brains obviously work different than a common person, but if they were on the right side of things, they could help spot things that most people wouldn't think of because their thought process is completely different than everybody else's.
Right. We recruit some of these hackers. We recruit some of these people who have hacked into the government, and rather than punish them, we hire them because we know how good they are and have them as part of, running security, like cyber security.
Just like we did with some Nazis.
Well, I mean, but hey,
But
look,
if they had people like Elizabeth Holmes, like, scanning through like federal files and whatnot, do you think things like the fraud in Minnesota would have gone on for as long as it did? Or do you think she would have been like way past the curve and spotted it and said, hey, this sets off like 20 alarm bells for me?
who better to know how grifters work than other grifters?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, we could put a Bernie Madoff in prison, and again, people will say, well, they should be in prison. They ripped off so many people, including elderly folks who lost everything. And I get that. I understand that. Absolutely not going to disagree with that on a Bernie Madoff kind of thing. But there are people, some of these hackers and stuff, why would we ever put them in prison? They're not doing any good there. We could say to them, okay, here are your choices. You only get 2 choices. Don't ask for another choice. Judge Boyd this. Yeah. You can either go to prison and do your time, or in lieu of prison, you can work for the government. We'll even pay you. And your job is to try and shut down other people that want to get in, compromise our security system, beef up our security, because we know you knew how to get in here. We want you to figure out to build a system that is it's the old, could God make a burrito so hot he couldn't eat it? We want you to make a system so secure that even you can't hack it. You know what I mean? So that's what we should be focusing on for people like that, these white collar criminals. And again, some people should just go to prison. I get that. But I have to keep saying that because some people are going to be like, well, this guy's just like, he just wants to have anybody be accountable, which is just stupid. But
yeah. But like you said, the mindset of the people with these white collar crimes, they're obviously good at identifying loopholes in the system, and that's what they attack, so to speak, when they're doing these schemes. And I just use Elizabeth Holmes because it's such a prevalent example and everybody knows her name, I think, for the most part. But there's plenty of other cases like that, and they have cost lots of businesses and people, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And, if we're talking about like fraud on a federal level or in a state level like Minnesota, that's obviously billions of dollars as well. But having somebody who already has the mindset of, okay, here's the system where it's weak points. What would I attack if I was trying to, make a side hustle out of this? That's a totally different perspective than most people who are quote unquote overseeing those programs.
Yeah.
My prediction on Holmes real quick.
Yeah.
She will get out. She will commit another crime. And I think that because I don't think the government's going to hire her to do anything.
No.
I don't think any business is going to hire her into a position of prominence like she had before.
Nope.
And I don't think she's going to be satisfied starting a podcast
Nope.
because she lives this billionaire lifestyle and she's going to want it back.
My guess is she'll manipulate someone else to take the face of whatever the next scheme is.
Yeah.
And she'll be like the behind the
Yeah,
scenes,
the puppet
like,
master.
yeah, like Wizard of Oz, don't look behind the curtain kind of thing. That's what I think was likely to happen with her.
Yep.
It's
shall
the
see.
Elizabeth Holmes podcast. I mean, she'll probably still do her fake voice. Hey, everybody. And, yes. Welcome, Holmes. That's my podcast. Welcome, Holmes. And,
So everybody in the chat, do me a favor, clap for Beth. These were good topics tonight.
they were.
So thank you, Beth. Now break us with the true false.
Yes. So for the second half of the show, let's find out just how much you really know about life locked away.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Number 1?
Yeah.
Go.
Alcatraz officials deliberately required prisoners to take hot showers so they would never become accustomed to the freezing waters surrounding the island, making escape even more difficult.
I think that's false. I don't think they had hot water there.
Yeah. And I don't think that would
That
be
would have
even
been a luxury.
not only that, but I don't think a prisoner is going to be like, well, I had a hot shower, so now I can't jump in the water because it'll be cold. Like, I think if anybody will use any opportunity to escape. So, yeah.
Even if you are used to cold water, you're not gonna, I know that there's talk about the Anglins and what was his name, the other Morris, and whether or not they made it, but they probably didn't.
Yeah.
Icy bay, horrible currents.
Very jagged rocks.
Yep. He said
So
that
I'm-
like Jim Rome.
Very jagged rocks.
Jagged rocks.
What a terrible day. Very below average to try and jump into that water. Clones, do not jump into that water. Very bad idea. Very bad. Huge. I'm gonna. I'm going to lock in with false. It is a false premise. It is a false question.
I think his answer is great. Yeah,
It is, what a great answer. I'm going to give myself a tongue for that answer.
Here comes the angry Cheeto. Anyway.
All right.
So this one is false, but interestingly, some of the premise behind what you guys were basing it off of was totally incorrect. It's a story that's actually been repeated many, many times, and people assume it's actually true. Alcatraz inmates, however, did take warm or hot showers all the time. But the famous claim that officials did it to try to keep prisoners from adapting to the icy waters has never been confirmed. In fact, former Alcatraz staff later said they'd never heard that explanation before. So the hot showers were real. The escape prevention story wasn't.
Huh. Well, the more you know.
Yes.
Glad we got it right, though.
You did get it right.
Doesn't matter how.
Yeah,
Well.
exactly.
Well, I have to get my
Great.
jabs in somewhere.
No, feel free.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just saying
it's
we're
fine.
not doing this on style. We're just trying to get our points.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2.
Go.
Some prison inmates have trained formerly wild burrows to accept a saddle and rider before the animals were auctioned to the public for adoption.
Burrows.
Wild burrows.
So we're talking like Mexico prison now?
Well, wherever there's wild burrows.
I don't know of many wild burrows around here, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know, Michael. You?
There's a wild burrow right in here. It's Freya.
Please don't put a saddle on her.
Oh my. Poor Freya. I'm not sure how to feel about this one. maybe this is so weird. It's probably true.
Well, I do know that a lot of prisons do work with animals.
Yeah.
You know, they have like in Louisiana, they have like the rodeo and stuff. A lot of them will do these things where they train like service dogs, things like
Yeah.
that. So it wouldn't surprise me. Some of them have cats for cat therapy. Also keeps down the rat population.
True.
I think I'd go true on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't be true.
All right. True it is.
Okay. Sorry.
And the winner is.
And the winner.
Beth is quickly changing the question around so that we get it wrong.
No. I was just doing my own maintenance back here. Sorry. It is true.
Okay.
Apparently, prison rehabilitation sometimes comes with a saddle. Several correctional facilities partner with wild horse and burrow programs, where inmates help gentle and train animals that were never meant to trust people. In one program, a formerly wild burrow named Dexter, you can laugh if you get the joke there, was trained to escape both a saddle and a rider before being adopted by a member of the public. So yes, sometimes prison rehabilitation includes teaching a burrow better social skills.
Hi, Freya.
Hi, Freya.
Freya joining us for the show.
Does anyone want to know where the burrow was?
Where was the burrow?
Arizona.
Really?
Wow.
Arizona State Prison Complex in Florence.
Huh. I didn't know we had burrows around here.
Yep.
How about that?
The more you know. That's two things I've not really ever seen in the state, a burrow and a scorpion.
Yeah, the program partnered with the Bureau of Land Management.
Huh.
And the burrow was featured in the 2024 adoption program. And like I said, it was named Dexter.
Dexter the burrow. The more you know.
Wow.
Numero 30.
Numero 30.
Go.
Some wealthy prisoners held in the Tower of London were allowed to bring servants, hunting dogs, and even leave the prison to go hunting.
Just be back
In the Tower of London, you said?
Tower of London.
That sounds like something they would do.
I say, just as long as you're back here by the time the street lights come on, of course, and naturally, sir. I'll be back by 9:30.
This reminds me of that guy in Greenland from that episode that we watched. Where, get this, he's in prison. Okay? He has a car. He's allowed at 5 a.m. every morning to drive his car out of the prison, go to work where he works repairing and repainting boats. And then he was telling Raphael that he had a date that night, so he would be back to the prison later. So he was allowed to go into town, go on dates, everything else, and then come back, and he just had to like sleep there at night.
And he also said he makes more than the
prison guards.
Than the prison guards.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it kind of sounds like that in a way. Money buying you things. I could see it, especially if it was somebody who had any kind of royal bloodline in them who was being held.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this seems very likely to be true.
Chad is kind of leaning false, but I think I'm going to say true. You?
Yeah, I say it's true. I think Freya's on board for true.
All right. Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We say true.
You guys are right. That's true.
Yay.
Which raises some serious questions about the definition of prison, of course. Not every Tower of London prisoner lived in a cold stone cell. Wealthy or high-ranking prisoners could sometimes bring servants, personal belongings, hunting dogs, and in some cases were even allowed to leave under guard to go hunting. So yes, apparently medieval prison came with room service and occasionally outdoor recreation.
Neat.
Wow. Very cool.
I'm just
smuggling your
him.
servants into prison.
Yeah, and then being
so.
let loose with guns. I mean,
yeah,
the irony.
That must have been an interesting search of prisoners. Is that a servant you have hidden up in your bum?
Is that a servant there? You're just happy to see me. Yes. Quiet, yes.
Alrighty.
Well,
On that note, 4.
yes.
Go.
When French revolutionaries stormed the Bastille in 1789, they freed more than 100 prisoners from the infamous fortress. It's quiet.
I'm trying to remember the whole story. It's been a while.
The gears are turning.
I thought that was true.
Freed over 100.
Freed more than 100.
So in other words, they freed 99.
I don't tend to give you guys gotcha questions like that, but
No, I know.
Yeah. No, I would say I think that is true.
I'm gonna be contrarian and go false, because I don't think it went as well as they thought it would. Trying to remember from French class when we actually studied this. I think it's false. You going with true, Michael?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's true.
All right.
Okay. It's false.
Yay.
The real story is even stranger than the statement I made. The Bastille had become a powerful symbol of royal authority and oppression, but when revolutionaries finally stormed it, they found 7 prisoners inside.
That's what it was.
4 were accused counterfeiters. 2 men were imprisoned for mental illness, and 1 aristocrat who had been locked up at his own family's request. So no, they didn't free hundreds of prisoners. They mostly liberated a very awkward guest list.
Huh.
That's what it was. I had it in my head that it wasn't as big of a thing as they thought it would be, and that is why I just couldn't remember that detail.
But yeah, it's often remembered as like a huge, grandiose thing.
Well, they have Bastille Day.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it was for 7 people.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
And 1 was there only because his family decided they didn't like him anymore.
I guess you can see that I slept through that part of history.
It happens.
French Revolution. I must have been dozing off or doing my
All right,
math
so
homework or something.
So for number 5, all I have to do is agree with Michael to solidify my win.
Yes.
Fair enough.
But I'll answer honestly.
Okay.
All right, go.
Ancient Roman sources describe a daughter who secretly kept her imprisoned father alive by, wait for it, breastfeeding him during prison visits.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Oh, the glasses have come off.
This is like reverse what we see on TCF.
I try to keep the questions with bodily fluids for the very end
for the very last question. Yes.
So the daughter breastfed the father. I don't think she could make enough milk to sustain an adult.
All I think of is Hilary Swank in the Family Guy bit. The bowls of cereal. That's all I can think of.
Repeat, please. Okay.
All right.
Ancient
Freya's like, I'm out of here, guys. This is just.
Ancient
I forgot
Roman
about that one.
sources describe a daughter who secretly kept her imprisoned father alive by breastfeeding him during prison visits.
It's
Gross.
so weirdly specific that it has to be true because it's so stupid and gross and like who. I mean, is Beth twisted enough to make that up? Sure, but
yes.
But is it also possible that that's true? And I would say yes, of course it is.
And yeah, she's twisted enough.
Yes.
For sure.
Michael isn't sure what side to take on this one.
I mean, I'm actually kind of leaning on the true side of it. I mean, I really am.
Ashley is talking this out in the chat. She's like, "Oh, I want to say false, but they are Romans, so true."
Exactly. That's the other thing too. I'm like, well,
they were twisted.
hmm.
I don't see that sustaining him that long. But you didn't say how long she kept him alive.
It's gross. I mean, it's just like
the guards were probably just getting their jollies on that. I go, showtime.
Gosh, it's so attractive watching someone breastfeed somebody else. I got to tell you.
And how many, dude, you know the people that we see over on the other channel.
Yeah, true.
That's just a Tuesday.
I mean,
what that is.
I'm not kink shaming anyone here. Just saying.
Oh, please do. Kink shame on this one. It's messed up.
I mean, whatever you're into and all that and, yada, yada. But
no, there has to be lines. This is a line. But it's true.
Yeah, I think it's true. Girl, it's true.
It is true. And history really went there. According to an ancient Roman story known as Roman Charity, a man...
Roman Charity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wait. A man sentenced to die by starvation was secretly kept alive when his daughter breastfed him during prison visits. The story became so famous that it's inspired paintings and sculptures across Europe for centuries. So yes, ancient history somehow turned prison into one of the strangest family reunions ever recorded. So here's the part you guys are going to love. The story.
Oh, no.
Lindsay, they got formula for the baby.
The story is traditionally known as Caritas Romana, and the daughter's name was Pero, and the dad's name was Simon.
Okay.
And there are plenty of pictures that are out there depicting her breastfeeding him. And it's
because of course there are.
Is this like on the Sistine Chapel
you.
Or something too? Is it like hidden in plain sight? Kind of like the chick next to Jesus at the Last Supper?
No, but I mean, when you look at the painting, you'll be like, yeah, that looks like some of the weird old paintings that are around.
I'm probably making a false memory, but I'm seeing images in my head now like I've seen this painting.
It's possible. It's yeah, there's multiple paintings. It's all over in Renaissance and Baroque art.
Neat.
Wow.
So the officials were so moved by her devotion that they pardoned her father also.
So all he had to do to get a pardon was suck on his daughter's breast for a while.
This is like a weird version of Fear Factor.
Right?
He was
all right. You want to get out of prison? Just suck on your daughter's boobs. There you go. That's all you got to do.
Like, can I please just eat the worms?
Somehow Judge Boyd's talk about how bad prison is just suddenly took a weird turn. Look, I know how bad the prison is. Here's the thing. I know people have to suck on boobs to get out of prison sometimes. That's just what you have to do. You have two options. These are your only two options. Don't ask for any other options. I'm going to watch Judge Boyd very different tomorrow.
Lindsay said, I love my dad, but no.
I would do anything, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
Oh God. Wow. That is.
This calls for pizza.
Oh, man. All right. So I said going in, it's been kind of a tough couple of days.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, at the end of the show, I feel better. You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little daddy-daughter bonding time to really loosen up the show a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never quite looked at my daughters that way, and I don't think I'm going to either.
It puts your life in perspective.
Yeah. We talk about poverty here in the United States, but we have a fridge full of food, and we don't have to rely on our daughters.
Or
Hillary Swank. Well, that'd be nice, gotta admit.
Probably not for Eli.
No, I meant for me. Not for Eli. Eli's young and scrappy. He can go fight for food. I'm old. I need help.
Oh my God.
Michael's holding his head.
I just again, this is goes back to the truth in advertising. This is a show unlike any other on any form of
advertise
media.
It.
Yep.
Advertise it that way every day.
And it's the truth. See? I told you I wasn't lying. I told you, didn't I tell you?
There you go. Alrighty, friends. I think that brings it to a close because I don't know what else we would say that wouldn't just do more damage at this point. So
Lindsay said they've outlawed death by starvation, so we're all saved.
Yay.
Hooray.
Everybody can
There's a couple people out there that are going, aw.
Yeah.
You just know it. All right. This was fun, so we'll probably do it again on Wednesday.
Why not?
Same bat time, same bat channel. I'll be back tomorrow for TCF Live at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. And Michael will have a weather video, and his weather videos are blowing up lately.
And we're doing pretty good. We're this is the most the biggest month we've had, and the month isn't even over yet.
There you go. Good on you, man. I told you we just got to get you found. Yeah. Now you're found.
I am.
So yay.
I once was lost, and now I'm found.
Yeah.
All that.
Was blind, but now you're still blind.
Yeah.
No, I'm still blind. It's that part of the song never really worked out for me, but hey, that first part's okay.
There you go.
Ashley saying thank you with a question mark.
And we'll leave it on that note. Thank you with a question mark, friends. We'll see you next time.
Hey, great show.
Great.
It's great.